Cześć! Z tej strony Marcelina Solińska ze Stowarzyszenia Wielokulturowy Kraków. Zapraszam do wysłuchania wielokulturowego podcastu realizowanego w ramach projektu Wiele Kultur, Jeden Kraków. Projekt dofinansowany jest przez FIO Małopolska Lokalnie. Czy zastanawialiście się kiedyś, co może łączyć wiatraki z Kastylii-La Manchy oraz barokowy kościół Apostołów świętego Piotra i Pawła w Krakowie? Otóż jest to postać Miguela Cervantesa, wybitnego hiszpańskiego, renesansowego pisarza, autora powieści Don Kichot z La Manchy, w której błędny rycerz walczy z wiatrakami. Rzeźby apostołów zdobiące plac przed kościołem codziennie zerkają przez okno do siedziby Instytutu Cervantesa, znajdującej się przy ulicy Kanoniczej 12. To właśnie tutaj, w połowie drogi między Rynkiem Głównym a Wawelem, możemy zetknąć się z kulturą hiszpańską. Ja także postanowiłam zajrzeć do siedziby Instytutu, żeby dowiedzieć się czegoś więcej o misji oraz działalności tej instytucji. Ugościł mnie pan Fernando Martínez-Vara de Rey, dyrektor placówki. Pan Fernando opowiedział mi nie tylko o historii oraz ofercie Instytutu, jak i zmaganiach Polaków z językiem hiszpańskim, ale także o bogatych tradycjach Żydów sefardyjskich, zamieszkujących Półwysep Iberyjski do końca XV wieku. Buenos días, Mr. Fernando. First of all, I would like to ask about the history of the Cervantes Institute. Could you tell us, please, when, by whom, and why it was established?
Well, we are a governmental institution. We depend mainly from the foreign affairs in Spain. However, we have a board of administration where is included the king, the current king, Felipe VI, and we were founded in 91. There were some very important years in Spain around this 5 centuries after the conquer of America. So it was a time full of happenings like the Expo, the Olympic Games in Barcelona in 92, but in 91 Instytutu Cervantes was founded with a clear mission that was to display the Spanish culture and not only from Spain, also from all the Spanish community. So it includes Ibero-America and display, of course, our language. That is probably our big treasure. No? We are very, very strong in Europe, several offices in France or Germany, and of course we are in England, and of course we're in Poland. No? In America we have a strong presence in Brazil, and coming bigger in USA. We are in New York, we are in Albuquerque, in Chicago, and in a short time we will open an office in Los Angeles. We are in the Middle East, we are in Beirut, suffering those days with this happening, in Tel Aviv, we are also in the north of Africa. Morocco is a big friend of Spain, so we have offices in several points, several cities, and we're in Algeria, also in Egypt, and we are in Orient, also in Shanghai, in Beijing, in Tokyo. So it's a big net and increasing. And in those days we are opening a new office in Dakar. Oh. So in Africa. We have 2 locations in Poland, and one is Warsaw. It's the capital. It's a wonderful town, but we needed to be also in Kraków. You know? Okay. And then, I live here from 2 years and a half, and I have completely understood how is it's a lung of culture, no?
And I've heard that during the opening celebration we had honor to visit the to host the present King of Spain, Philip VI.
Yes,
here.
it is. He was a prince, and he came with his wife. And in January they came again to Krakow because of the Auschwitz happenings, and I was talking with His Majesty, and I will talk about it. And he has a very good memory of Krakow. Even he had a private dinner, he and his wife, in a restaurant here in Grodzka Street.
I'm quite interested about the beginning of the Cervantes Institute in Krakow. Did you meet with big interest from local community at the first in the first years?
Well, in real, I came 2 years and a half before, so I not witness of that beginning. But I know what people say is that Instytutu Cervantes was really welcome. No? You know that we are in one of the most beautiful buildings in Krakow, and to say it about Krakow, it's really representative. No?
Yes,
so we are in the heart, close to the Babel Castle, close to the Rynkiem Square, so it's a very strategic point. And beyond that, what I perceive every day is that Polish people like very much Spain and know that the Polish language is beautiful, but it's hard and not very displayed around the world. So the best heritage for the kids, for the children, is to learn languages. And Spain is very searched for very well. Let me tell you that probably in percentage we are the office, Instytutu Cervantes Kraków, who has more children and teenagers students.
Oh, okay.
So we are really focused on that. We have built a special space for little children. We talk about boys and girls on this 3 years old. No? So it's really amazing. No? And there are a lot of children. Sometimes they come because they like the Spanish football or like the Don Papier, no? La Casa de Papel.
Casa de Papel.
Sí, TV series. No, it doesn't mind. It's really important. I have this attraction. No? Others came because there are students of Filologia or because they adore literature from Colombia, from Mexico, from Argentina, from Spain.
Would you like to tell me more about your educational and cultural offer? I'm quite curious who attend to your events.
I can tell you that we have two lines. No? One line is academic, so we have a course of Spanish in different levels in these new European frames, A1, A2, B, C, and other alternatives, trainings for learn to dialogue or focus on. Now, for instance, we have a course about writers, about poetry, whatever. And we organize also the diplomas. DELE is the name. It's DELE is the diploma. It's grants that you have a knowledge of certain level of Spanish. Yeah, certificate. Well, we have 6 levels, not the European frames, no? A1, A2, B1, B2, C1, C2. We prepare for all these levels, and we are also the students who made the exams.
All right.
Who certificate. So we prepare for that, and we make the exams. In spite or beyond that, we have and other partners all around the country that help us. No? So you can examine the here or maybe in Brussels.
Right.
And the other pillar, the other line, is the cultural activity. So normally this is a very open house where we have, let's say, cinema, literature, or debates, exhibitions. We have a beautiful pivnica, where we have several halls of exhibitions, and we like very much our building, but we try also to promote cultural activities in other places of this very alive town. So we used to be in the jazz festival, or in we organize a week of Spanish cinema in Podbaranami, and we cooperate also with our colleagues. I mean, Instytutu Italiano, Instytutu Français, Goethe, which are tertiary institution which name is unique, and now I'm the president of the cluster here, and we try to organize something together. Yes, we have a library. It's not expensive to be partner, and you can study here. You can choose your books. We have a specific professional to orient our visitors, no? What to read, what to choose. There are some people who are students that prepare theses or university works, and I work here and I have a good source of knowledge.
So it's Spanish literature in original.
Yeah,
right?
it is.
Okay.
It is. We have some Polish books, but normally it's in Spain. We have books to learn Spanish. We have literature, and also videos and music and so on.
What is your opinion about Polish students? Are they good at learning Spanish?
Well, I think that Polish people is very disciplined in everything. I have seen in this coronavirus how people is very civilized, and I like it. And moreover, I think that Polish learn Spanish in a incredible speedness. No? Because in a short time they learn and they can speak. No, and there are people who speaks with no accent. No, when a beautiful example is the ambassador of Poland in Spain, Miss Adamczyk, that she speaks impressive Spanish, full of proverbs. I feel that in Spain there are no a clear concept of what Poland is. No, maybe the references are quite old. It's old. It's Lech Wałęsa, Pope Wojtyła, and of course Lewandowski.
Okay.
But for most people, Poland is a country where where winter is very hot. So when Spanish people come here, feel really good. I think that events. But I want to insist that what we really like is that the local people come and learn more about us, about our language, about our culture.
People in Spain speak in 7 different languages and even more dialects. Regarding that, how to say properly, Castellano or Español?
Both are valid. I used to say Español, no? I think that is a more universal denomination. However, we also care of the other languages and talk in Spain, no? And sometimes we organize events around the Gallego, Catalan, or Vasco. We can do it. We have organized something in Catalan, and it depends on demand also. If people want, of course, we have resources to do that. No? In another Cervantes, in bigger towns, it is normal, especially Catalan. But I remember on the last autumn we organized a concert with piano and poetry of Rosalía de Castro, who was the most prestigious writer in Gallego. And we translated for first time to Polish language. So it was
great.
Wow. It was great. It was great. It is. I think that to learn languages is always makes you more rich, no? So I always advise to learn. I'm learning Polish here, so I don't know. Of course, with my Spanish could be enough to live, but I really recommend. And there are wonderful languages, Catalan, Gallego, with the same root, Roman root. I really advise to learn. No? When people are thinking to live for long term, it's advisable. I have roots in the Basque, in the country, in the north, really.
Oh, that's something totally
really,
different.
it's from it's because it's not come from Latin, no? Like Hungarian, not very much languages in Europe, no? Are not in European, no. So it's interior villages where people speaks a very humble Spanish, you know, and there are maybe in the Pyrenees there are people who speaks only Catalan, and of course I think that.
Speak Basque?
No, some words, only some words.
How to say good morning?
Escarricasco. No. Escarricasco is thank you. No me acuerdo ahora mismo.
Maybe it's more important. Escarricasco.
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 Before you came to Krakow, you had been working in Sepharad Israeli Center. Could you tell us more about this experience?
Yeah, it is. It's a no far institution from Instytutu Cervantes because Centro Sepharad Israel is a Spanish institution that also belongs to the Foreign Affairs Minister. No? And our mission there, I was working for almost 11 years, was to make bridges between Spain and the Jewish world, but especially very focused on the Sephardic world. Sephardic are those people who was expelled from Spain on the end of the 15th century and went normally to the north of Africa and the east of Europe, the Ottoman Empire. But the miracle is they kept all the Spanish culture for 5 centuries. No? So in my former job, I used to visit first communities all around the world, and it's really impressive to go to the mountains of Bulgaria, or to go to a little town of Morocco and listen to those people that have kept their recipes, the songs, the language, but it's a language from 5 centuries ago. So it sounds like a Cervantes book. No?
Okay,
it's something
so
very.
It's called Ladino?
Ladino in the east of Europe, and Haketia in the north of.
Haketia.
Haketia.
I didn't know.
It's a language that have kept the Jewish in the north, in the current Morocco, in the Tanger, and it is mixed with some words of Hebrew and Arab. But the root, 90% is Spanish, but that's Spanish.
So something you can understand, yes, from this language?
Yeah,
okay.
it is.
So probably you also know some from
yeah, but, I can understand, and I have learned some words that remind you this old Spanish.
But it's something understandable for Spanish
Absolutely.
people. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, I see.
Apart, that the Jews have enriched also with some fields like medicine, like economy, of course, they are impressive biographies. No, maybe the most famous is Maimonides. You organized something about Maimonides here. You know, he's a doctor. He was a professor. He was a rabbi, and he born in Córdoba, and later he died in El Cairo, in Egypt. Or Benjamin de Tudela. Benjamin de Tudela was a traveler in the 13th century, and he came from Navarra. Navarra is in the north of Spain, close to the French border. He was walking until India, until Jerusalem, to make to visit all the Jewish communities in these countries during years. And he wrote a book, and they are, for instance, do you know what's Kabbalah? It's the science of the Kabbalah, no? The big rabbis of Kabbalah, Moisés de León, were born in Spain. No? So we talked that before the being spelling, approximately 1/3 of the whole population in Spain was Jewish. No?
Have many Jewish people came back after Reconquista?
No. The Jewish communities return later. I'm talking about the 20th century.
Right.
Maybe the first movement was in the first World War. That people that came from the ex-Ottoman Imperium, and they come mainly to Barcelona. But the most important movement was when the independence of Morocco. Then a lot of Jewish people decided to return, and I return because there are the grandsons of the grandsons of the grandsons, but they return to Málaga, to Madrid, Melilla. Maybe are the more strong communities. And after the dictator of Franco, there is an agreement between the state and the Jewish. So nowadays there's a significant population there.
All right. So you mentioned before that you came here to Krakow because partly because thanks to your experience and work with Jewish culture.
It is when I decide to I have a dream that was to become director of an office of Cervantes. When I was working in Centro Separado Israel. A lot of times I was invited to give speeches in Cervantes offices, so I realized how important is that mission, and I tried to add myself to that mission. And well, when I had to choose a city, there are several, and the directors in that moment phoned me and told me, we think that with your experience, Krakow should be a good destination for you. And I was really glad because I was 2 times in Krakow, and for me it was a dream not to live here. And really, I think it's one of the most beautiful towns in Europe. That's what I feel. And talking about Jewish in Krakow, of course, from Instytutu Cervantes, we have a relation with JCC, with the Jewish community, with the cultural center that is in Kazimierz, also with the library in Klezmer-Hoyce, and we try to work together to edit some books, to make concerts together. We had a plan to go together with JCC to the Jewish festival, but because of this coronavirus, we had to cancel it. But I hope that the next year, they have invited me sometimes to give conferences also, and in our venue we have tried to promote a lot of events, but more links with the Sephardic heritage. That is not very known here.
In Poland, we very often associate Jewish culture with Ashkenazi tradition, with Jewish people who used to live in Central and Eastern Europe. But how to recognize Sephardic tradition and customs? What are the main differences?
Well, Sephardic tradition have this strong Spanish roots, and also they elected in countries with under a Muslim government. So they have a wonderful mix, no? An oriental touch, I can say, no? So you can realize in the music, the instruments, when the music sounds, Sephardic songs have a little flamenco touch. So it's very different. The food is different. The sweets are full of almonds and honey, like in a market in Morocco, no, like a zouk.
Right.
So we have organized them in my 2 years and a half here. We have organized music. We have a wonderful exhibition about the Jewish Spain, talking about landscapes, Córdoba, Toledo. We have an exhibition when the 75th anniversary commemoration of the freedom of Auschwitz. We have some paintings talking about writers and Shoah.
What are your feelings when you walk around Kazimierz, the Jewish district in Krakow?
I have two feelings. One is of happy because realize that Jewish culture is again so present in the daily life, and to see this, listen to classical music, and see this restaurant, classical hobbies or others, and it makes me happy. Share all this atmosphere in Szeroka, and it's wonderful. The other feeling is more sad to see what's Judaism without Jewish. No, it's so terrible. What Poland suffered in the war, to have two monsters here, no, the Stalinism and the Hitlerism, the Nazis here. So it makes me sad, no? When I cross these bridges to Podgórze, and I go to the ghetto, and I feel how many lives have been destroyed here, no? How it's terrible. There's people who died in Welzek, in Auschwitz, in Plaszow. It's something really dramatic, very dramatic. Let me tell you that the last year, with the director of Instytutu Italiano, we promote something very, very wonderful, that we talk with a survivor from Saloniki, a Sephardic, Jewish Sephardic from Saloniki, who survived in Bergen-Belsen field when Anna Frank died, and the man who saved him was a Spanish diplomatic, and we talked with his granddaughter. So she's Italian. So we invite the man who survived and the granddaughter of the man who saved him, and we meet both in Schindler factory.
Wow.
And we organized a debate with the testimony of each one. It was really, really wonderful.
Yeah.
And it was Polish, Italian, and Spanish cooperating on that. No? I think it's a drop of peace and hope.
To change a little bit the subject of our conversation, I'm curious if you ever tried to learn Polish language?
When I came, and normally our stays for 5 years, I think 5 years since is justified to learn. And what I want is really to understand the society and to be inside this society. You know, I have chosen a house in a very typical district, not touristic, not a place for expats. I live where Krakowians live. No? That's the one. And I think in this process to learn the language is important. I have an excellent teacher, and normally 3 hours for week we study 3 razy w tygodniu, pracujemy razem i ja uczę się. Ja lubię bardzo, jest cudowny. Nie, bardzo trudny, ale jest piękna Jessica, no?
Muzyka?
Jessica, language, no wiem, jak się
Język.
Język.
Ten język.
Well, but you have 5 Nobel Prizes in literature, so there is something,
We're proud of it.
there are secrets in this language, you know. It's very precise, and it's very rich in sounds, and I like it. Of course, declinations and grammar are a nightmare, huh? But I do my best, and I have checked that Polish people appreciate it when a foreigner tries to learn. When I go to a restaurant and I speak in Polish and the waiter answers me in English, I get hungry and say proszę po polsku.
I was wondering if you meet with some consequences of lockdown caused by coronavirus.
It has been a big inconvenience, no? We had in March, we have a full plan of cultural activities here. Let me tell you that, of course, we work every day with the Embassy of Spain, no? We have an excellent ambassador now, and working with embassy, working with our venue in Spain that always help us with ideas, with projects, and working with the local institutions. We have an excellent relationship with the universities also. Several agreements, Jagiellonica, Wrocław, Katowice. So it was a big moment. We have to stop everything and interrupt, especially our cultural events. The nice side is that we react. I mean, all Instytutu Cervantes everywhere, and in 3-4 days we prepare our online classes. So we continue with online, and only a very short scope of people decide not continue. Most of our students, I mean 95%, continue in this new formula. No? That have some advantages. You don't have to. You can in your house. People who have familiar duties, or maybe one who lives far from Kraków, who lives in Silesia, pues can follow our classes, and we continue in this way. Of course, we don't know what is the immediate future. I hope that this is our vacuna, that they stop the virus. I don't know, because I really would like to have this house open again, and have people in the library and people in the exhibitions and concerts and so on. No?
Right.
That's our normal life.
Yeah. So I wish you the same, and I hope that after our podcast, like, you will have the new visitors and new participants. Of your
I hope so. Let me add that in a human side, it has been strong, no, to be 3-4 months, and I feel very grateful to the Polish people, because I've been always understanding with us, with the people. I was very worried. It was terrible to listen the news from Spain. 800 people dying every day. Friends, beloved people in my hometown in Madrid. It's terrible numbers. And I felt fine here. I felt the care and the care of the protection of the local people. Can't forget it.
Nowadays, the face of event industry and tourism changed dramatically, and people in Spain probably know very well about it. But I was wondering if you can recommend some holiday destination for our listeners. maybe some place where we don't have to meet with the crowd and with the people all over the world.
For me, it's not easy to answer as director of Instytutu Cervantes, but let me answer as your friend, and I advise the city of San Sebastian, because it's the city of my summers when I was a child, and it's a paradise. The next film of Woody Allen will take place in San Sebastian. It's a paradise, a little paradise, with a French touch, and it's a royal town, elegant and wonderful, and the best gastronomy in the world. So it's nice. But the whole Spain is not a big country, but it's full of alternatives and culture. And whereas, as you told before, we are full of influences, but I think that our position in the map it has provoked it. We're open to different continents and oceans, and it's part of these riches that I really invite to our listeners to visit. Say every Polish will be really welcome there.
Okay, so thank you very much for your recommendation and for the conversation. And I wish you all the best, and I hope that soon you could, the life of the Institute can came back to normal.
Dziękuję bardzo. We really need it. Thanks for your time and your clever questions.
Thank you. Dziękuję.
Dziękuję.
Gracias.
Dziękuję za wysłuchanie wielokulturowego podcastu. Podcast realizowany jest w ramach projektu Wiele Kultur, jeden Kraków przez Stowarzyszenie Wielokulturowy Kraków. Koniecznie śledźcie nasze kanały społecznościowe, ponieważ będziemy tam zamieszczać informacje o kolejnych podcastach.